Well, just first of all, Ura Lee, thank you so much for being here today with us. We want to thank you because as we celebrate our milestone of 125 years in downtown Edmond, we want to highlight the people that are our family, and that is for sure you. So thank you for joining us today.
Well,
we appreciate it.
I came to Citizens in 1966 in August. And I went to, and the bank wasn't here then.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And I went to the bank across the street, that little narrow building. So that was where the bank was.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I went in.
Yep,
and
same intersection, just across the street.
Yeah, just across the street. And so, and one of the things you have to remember is you went to the bank a lot because you didn't have direct deposit. I got a check from, I worked for OSU, and I got a check in my mailbox every month, and I had to bring my check to the bank and deposit it.
So what do you remember about when you first started banking here of that building, since it was across the street, different than this lobby?
It was just, it was, well, of course, I came from a banking family, and in Sand Springs, my mother was vice president of the bank, and it was a huge building, and here was this little bitty, narrow building. I just accepted it to be what it was,
Yes.
And I didn't say, well, this isn't a very good building or anything, I just came to the bank and did my business and all. But I remember Mr. Granzo was, and in the article that I read that Jill just did, one of the things he said was, come on in,
Yes.
I guess Mr. Granzo worked, but he just sat out in the lobby in a big chair. And so I was used to coming to the bank. So I always stopped and visited with him.
That's so nice.
I just asked him what he was doing. I'd ask him about Randy.
Yes.
And everything. So I thought that's what you're supposed to do at the bank, was visit with the employees, So that's what I did. My mother was at the Sand Springs Bank, but my mother's big brother was president of the bank at Coweta, and my daddy's younger brother was president of the bank at Veneta. So I was used to always having bank. Then I found Cynthia. And Cynthia was in charge.
Oh my goodness, Ura Lee.
She was. And I bought most of my cars from Fred Harlan in Okmulgee. And I always loved to tell the story that Fred would just pick out a car and I'd go down and get it, I didn't care about picking out a car. He did it. And I always got a good deal from him. And I would call Cynthia from Okmulgee and I would say, put $15,000 in my account. Because I had to write Fred Harlan a check, for the car. Not $15,000, that would have been a cheap car then. But I never thought about signing a note ahead of time. I just called Cynthia.
Yes.
She just took care of me. And sometime during that month, I'd get down and sign the note.
Well,
but it was always, you always just took care of me.
Well, we appreciate your dedication and commitment to our bank. That there was a lot of trust built up between us and you.
I have never ever walked in Citizens that I didn't feel warm. Whether it's Mr. Granzo sitting out in the big chair, whether it was Cynthia telling me I put money in your bank, or whether you were just visiting with one of the people in the lobby.
Yes.
It's always been fun to come to the bank. And now I have a special treat back at the back.
Yes.
Because I have a grandson working for Citizens.
Well, tell us what that means to you, like seeing, the next generation of your family working here. How does that feel to you? And
Oh,
to
it
see
feels
him?
wonderful. I didn't even know he was applying for the job. And the next thing I knew, he'd been hired. And I was so excited. and I had introduced him to Cynthia and to Jill. But Zachary's very happy. And will he stay here forever? I don't know. But he already had, the minute he could, he got his 401k.
That's great. Well, you can tell he's like, he carries into his job what you and his parents have instilled in him.
Yes.
It's hard work. He's very motivated back there. So we're so excited that he's here with us.
Yeah, I'm glad he's here because, it's like I had to laugh. He said, I told her that I would work hard and that I wanted to work for Citizens. And so she picked him.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And he loves it.
So, okay, so tell us this. You were a professor for many years.
Yes, I was at OSU for
Yeah.
30 years, 66 to 96.
So you've mentored students. I know you've,
I was dean at there's a branch campus over by the fairgrounds. The OSU has a branch campus that has 2-year degrees. And then anything you take there can transfer up to the main campus. So I was dean of business there.
okay. So you've banked here for so long, like what changes have you seen over the years?
The fact that I don't have to deposit my check
Yes,
anymore.
yeah.
That, and well, we just do banking different. But Citizens wants to help any customer they have, whether they need a loan or whether they need a check cash or whatever it is. I think Citizens prides itself, and always has, on the warmth of when you walk in, they're going to greet you. Mr. Granzo was going to say, come on in, even though he was the president, and he was sitting there just sitting in a big chair.
Yes.
But you could go by and visit with him and find out what his family was doing, and, I've never walked in where I felt like it was a business.
Yeah.
It's always been a friendship.
Thinking back to when I worked with Randy, and I got to know his father when I started at the bank, and Gordon, like you've mentioned, being out in the lobby, and then Randy, so personable with our customers, and then Jill is the same way, as you know. Where her
She's
office is.
outstanding.
Yes, she is. So it's interesting to me that, yes, technology has changed, and, we've evolved so much since 1901, yet you're right, still taking care of our customers and still have that.
That's always been the goal.
Yes.
Is that it's just like sometimes, even now, I will walk in and maybe I'm going to take the loan payment to the back or something. But I will just walk by all the tellers and go into the office and talk to Jill.
Yes.
and everybody's looking, and I said, it's all right, she won't care. and she doesn't.
It's true.
She wants you to come in and just say hi. Now I go in and kid her about she's working on a doctorate degree. And
Yes,
I said,
yes.
why do you want to do that? But no matter what you are going to talk about or what you want to tell her is happening in your life, she's ready to listen,
Yes.
And I know she's not that way just with me. She's that way with everybody. Everybody's not as bold as to just walk by the tellers and go on in her office like I do. The corner is important. It is the rock of Edmond. It is the one business that's always been there and always will be.
Yeah.
And it's the business that opens its arms to the people in Edmond to come in. Citizens is just, it is a warm and friendly business. And one of the things, as a dean, when the kids were ready to graduate, I always had a special meeting with them and would pull all the graduates together. And there were things I just wanted to share with them before they left. And one of the things that I told them is there were 7 people that you should find and have in your life. Your doctor, your minister, your lawyer, but one of those 7 people was your banker. Yeah. You must establish a good relationship because you're going to need your banker throughout your whole life. Just like I'm 85 and I was 25 when I started with Citizens.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
You've been a major part of that because I didn't have to worry about who I was going to talk to. I just needed to find Cynthia.
You're too kind to me.